Hey Angeli, how are you?
Oh, hi, Kayla. So sorry. I just had my headphones in. I was just catching up on the latest episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Oh, I'm totally hooked. I just binge listened to the last 3 episodes. The inspiration it has always gets me through my day.
I know. Between the entrepreneurs, CEOs, best-selling authors, thought leaders, amazing speakers, and famous people and personalities, there is just so much great content.
Right? Lou really taps into the heart and soul of the guests and totally decodes how they are able to thrive.
Yeah, which interview do you like most?
Oh gosh, that's impossible to choose.
I know, I'm trying to pick. How about favorite question? Your all-time favorite movie?
Gotta run, Angeli. Keep on listening.
Check you later, Kayla, and thrive loud.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have the founder and managing partner of Conduct Law and Practices, Corporate and Commercial Law, and is also a business consultant where he acts for clients buying, selling, and helping start up businesses in Canada, the US, and Asia. I guess you don't want to deal with Europe is what I'm guessing here. Whether he's in Ottawa or Orlando, he is touching base and helping these clients at every possible level he can. He is the host of the Millionaire's Lawyer podcast. We're going to talk about this and is here to share his message today. Thrive Loud listeners, JP McAvoy. JP, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, Lou. Thanks so much for that. Excited to be on the show. You've made a splash everywhere you've gone, and I'm excited to be joining your community.
Well, JP, we got to crisscross a little bit back in September in San Diego, and judging by where we live, we're the dumb ones because they know what's going on living in San Diego. I don't know. We just pick up and move over there. But you do something really cool. I love people who have a specific niche in practice. And in this world we're living in today where acquisitions and constantly coming up with new businesses and figuring out how to take them to the next level, what the right path is, someone like you is absolutely invaluable to making sure that process is there. And I kind of want to hear more about it. So if you could, maybe share a little bit of the journey and how that became your specialty, and we'll go from there. Sound like a good plan?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Thanks for the opportunity. It's interesting, getting back to what we just said about California, my roots are at the beginning of all this actually began in California. When I was doing what I now do, I guess for the first time, which was helping grow a business and sell it. I joined a couple of, people that are now become household names down there just out of school. So I went to school with Elon Musk and his brother Kimball Musk.
Oh, wow.
And we made it down to California with them as they had started their first company and were looking to grow it and eventually sell it. I was in the midst of law school when they had started the company, and I stayed in touch with them as they continued to grow. And, they kept sending me emails saying, this is going nuts. You got to get down here. You got to join us. So that's what I did, as a almost qualified lawyer. Went down to join them, and we grew that first business, their first real success, and sold it for, at the time, it was $307 million US.
Wow, amazing.
All cash deal, the largest all cash deal of its time.
Amazing.
So that's where it began for me, right? This idea, I thought through law school I was going to be a litigator, but I started working with people, and we started growing companies and selling them for a lot of money. So that kind of that shaped things for me, and I've pretty much been doing it ever since.
Let's talk about what you look at when it comes to helping these companies make that transaction, if you would. And I want to bring this to a point because our listeners, we've had a bunch of people who specialize in helping businesses in this particular realm, but it's the understanding of what the sweet spot is and how you help companies. Do you have a specific niche that you focus on, or are there certain things that you look for in an organization?
Great question. There's when a certain niche, there's a certain, let's say, we'll call it a theme when people come to work with me. And it's generally that there's a business that has a going concern. A business owner realizes they have something of value, but they're not quite sure. And they're a little worried about not realizing the full value and paying too much tax. So it's really growth and tax for me. When I get involved, I look at a structure. Usually a business owner or business owners don't have things structured as efficiently as they can to achieve its growth, and then most particularly to reduce its taxes on a sale. So that's when I get involved. I'll work with tax attorneys, tax accountants to make sure things are structured, and then generally plan the exit, or know that we're talking about an exit within the next 2 years. So, I'm sort of late stage or getting involved and saying, okay, how do we have things set up? Is it set up the right way? And if we actually go to sell this, are we going to maximize value, maximize return? And usually there's a few things we can do pretty easily put into place, and certainly if they're done before a sale, that are going to really assist the business owners realize what the full value of the business might be.
This is one of the biggest challenges. I actually am just thinking about this. I'm consulting with a bunch of companies that are very on the startup stage and have some unbelievable values, and from assets, technology, code, patents, people, processes, all these different components. When you're helping to take a company and value this stuff, is there something that you can carry over from one experience to the next and helping to use that, as opposed to restarting the wheel each time to really understand what all the assets are?
Yeah, great question, Lou. As you described that, people have typically just thrown things together. It's been ad hoc, where they bolted one piece on after the other. So they may have developed a patent, or they may have secured a licensing deal that has some value, and they tend to just smash everything together, if you will. And in so doing, and you see this all the time with these huge corporations, right? They'll sometimes break up because they realize the sum of their parts are actually greater than the whole. It's the same kind of thinking. So I'll look at a company, and not surprisingly, a business owner usually has a different skill set, right? They've got the energy, they've got the idea, they've brought it forward to a certain point. They don't have the skill set that a lawyer is going to have to look at that and say, you smash it together, and by doing so, you've shunted growth in certain areas. So I typically unpack things a little bit for them. Usually I'll set up a holding corporation or a series of corporations to ensure that the assets are being held in the most efficient manner for them. And in that way, as I say, unpack things in a way they're going to allow them to realize what the full potential will be.
Here's a good question. There's something happening and you mentioned, the Silicon Valley area, and lots of technology related products. And I think our listeners would like to know this. Some companies have unbelievable ideas. They have unbelievable products. They have unbelievable new ways of doing things. And unfortunately, the world has some very, very wealthy technology companies that are ruling the roost. They have more money than anyone could ever imagine. We will leave their names out of this. And a lot of times, these companies buy these other companies to make them go away. This does happen. I think you know this.
Oh, yeah.
For those that are trying to make a business and have an impact or an effect and really want their business or their thing to matter, and yet they're swayed by all the potential dollars that can come in, as a lawyer and helping to try and utilize this, while you're not representing the larger one who's being acquired, and they're trying to figure out what they do with it when they get it. Is this something that you're seeing a lot of, and how you advise for those companies so that that those that actually have a dream and a vision, maybe they're not delivering on that front because of the big bad monsters out there that don't want you to succeed on your level?
Yeah, that's really interesting. The altruistic entrepreneurs you're describing,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Where they have something, an idea they want to bring to fruition, and they may not be certainly not as motivated by the bottom line. I do see those types of clients, and as you describe that, it's interesting because as a lawyer, I don't make decisions for the business owner, right? I put a range of options in front of them and discuss with them what their objectives are, what their goals are. I find with that altruistic entrepreneur, as you're describing them, they're willing to leave money on the table. Sometimes, they're not selling when they perhaps ought to. As you say, the big boys come and they want to buy them, maybe to get rid of them, maybe to exploit whatever's been developed, whatever the case is. That's perhaps where the value of the business is greatest. And that altruistic entrepreneur at times will say, no, thank you, right? Or I'm not interested in selling. And as long as I'm explaining to them the consequences of that decision, usually it being that the maximized return won't be realized, the option's open to them. They can make that decision. I've had a few people say no to deals. I've had a few people say no to deals rather famously, and they turned out to be right in the long run. where they were able to then sell or do something different with the technology. So I learned a long time ago, as the way you just described, Lou, is make sure an entrepreneur has the information available for them to make the decision. And when they make the decision, they make it the best one. That's all there is to it.
Last question I'll hit on this front before we go into a lot more fun stuff about you, JP. You prefer helping with the acquisition to buy something or to help someone sell something?
Oh, that's, I don't know if you realize how good a question that is. Any lawyer listening will realize. I enjoy the sales process, the sale for the business owner. Although I have to tell you, it's always bittersweet because typically, and it's certainly if you're selling a business for a large number, a lot of the business owners are actually retiring, right? Or they're going on to greener fields. And so it's sort of bittersweet as you help them realize the sale of their business, because typically there's not going to be any other business at the end of the line or after the sale's been completed. But that's where I prefer to be. As I say, it's been very satisfactory to see a number of people achieve ultra wealth on account of a sale of a business that they'd started sometimes out of their basement, sometimes even 5 or 6 years earlier, like not even that long beforehand, created a business and sold it. So that's the sweet spot for me, or that's the spot where I am typically.
The Millionaire's Lawyer Podcast. Share with the listeners a little bit what this is all about and how this all came to be.
Yeah, thanks, Lou. So the Millionaire's Lawyer is myself as the lawyer that's helped people create millions. I mean, to turn it around that way. And that's where it came from. I realized that I was having the same conversation with a lot of entrepreneurs, sort of early stage. And I thought, you know what, let's put a podcast together where some of those entrepreneurs might hear some of the stories about how I was originally in Silicon Valley and was able to create some value for some of these entrepreneurs down there, and how we've duplicated that model. So I started essentially telling some of my war stories and some of the things that I tell to clients in the first conversations. And then I started inviting on some of the professionals that I work with. So the way that an entrepreneur might imagine their accountant and lawyer talk about a deal, we'll have that conversation so they can listen in. So that's where it came from, and that's how things have evolved from there.
Have you enjoyed sitting in the host chair?
I do. I do. And I mean, I'm talking to somebody that's very good at it as well. It is a unique vantage, isn't it? And a unique vantage point to sit and have really informed chats with leading minds. And so I really enjoyed that.
I'll say this. We just recently, we're recording this a week after it aired. We had the Millionaire's Woman podcast host on, and Deborah Kozowski, also from Canada. That's right. And the Millionaire's Lawyer. I definitely think there needs to be a woman lawyer meetup that needs to happen. Hopefully you guys are working on making that.
I love it. I love it. That's a great idea, Lou. Yes, for sure. Maybe we'll get you to moderate to keep us honest.
As long as we're dishing millions back and forth between the two of you, I think everyone's going to be happy.
Absolutely.
So JP, look, you've had a great successful career as a lawyer. You continue to thrive in that aspect of your business, and you're taking on podcasting and getting that show to the level that you want to, which is fun because you're doing what you love each and every day. Yet,
that's right.
Not every day is the rosiest of days or the sunniest of sunshines. And sometimes it's a little cloudy, and sometimes we're a little off our game, for lack of a better term. When you're having trouble thriving, who or what practice do you seek to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Such a good question. I know that you challenge people that way as well to think it through, right? For me, I need to switch gears. Clearly need to switch gears. Even the way we began this conversation, I mean, whether, for where you and I sit more regular than not can be really punishing. We know what it's like for the people that see the sunshine in California or even in Florida for that matter. So I make a point of trying to get there when I can. Right. But as simple for me as getting up, I'm 5 minutes from the gym. And so from getting up and getting over to the gym and just working it out, I find it a lot more productive. I mean, as a lawyer, I'm selling my time as it is anyways. So I'm always trying to be very efficient with my time. I know that if I'm floundering and I can't get sunshine, I get to the gym and I get the heart pumping a bit. And then when I get back to it, I'm more focused and more productive.
JP, I've got another question that's a follow-up on this. And this is something that's really interesting. I have done a lot of work. I do speaking and consulting and workshops for lots of different companies and a lot of people in professional services. And I'll let you know that I don't always love doing work for attorneys and lawyers, mostly because they're so focused, as you mentioned, working on the hour, they're looking at their watch and they're more concerned about the time that they're not billing with their clients. So someone who's found a unique avenue within the practice of the law, yet has managed to understand to work within the confines of how you get paid from your clients. What are some words of advice that you would give to other lawyers as it relates to the way that they think about their job and their life, and recognizing that it isn't just all about the billable hours?
Wow. That's what a question there, Lou. Because I completely empathize with what you're saying, because you realize it's been pounded into us from really, I guess, from the first month of law school, how valuable your time is, how, you got to be watching your time. You always get, and that's not the reality in really for even attorneys, but certainly for anybody else in the workplace, right? It's all a question of the product, the work product, what's being produced, or what is being produced of value. And there are lawyers that will grind away and spend time on files because it's paying, without thinking about the productivity side of things. And for those, I would challenge them, or for anybody really, I would challenge them to think about what value are you actually producing. And going back to the way that I do things, my value is realized on the sale of a business. So I can spend 100 hours focused on generating the documents and the transaction materials, or I could spend half that time and work with a team that's more efficiently going to get things out in a way to allow the sale to be concluded. End goal in mind. That's the key thing. Not how long it takes to actually get there, but the end goal in mind. For a business owner, if they're selling their business and they're realizing on the sale, that's when they pay, and that's when they're happily paying your bill. If you're spending all kinds of time on things and it's not coming back in a way that they're satisfied with, they're going to have a lot of difficulty with paying your bill, and they're not going to care how much time you spent on it.
Love that. Great feedback. I hope every attorney that listens to this program listens to that, who isn't smiling right now. Okay.
Yeah, really.
JP, let's do the admin part of the show. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, learn about your business, your podcast. This is your chance to plug it all. We'll put it all in the show notes. Always comes better when they hear it from you.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Lou. I appreciate the opportunity as well. So you heard the business law firm is Conduct Law, which is conductlaw.com, how you conduct your affairs. So CONDUCTLAW.com. I also do business consulting through CPLS PA. That's CPLSPA.com. The podcast you'll find at jpmcavoy.com. So it's my name spelled. I'll just spell it because it's actually MCAVOY. So jpmcavoy.com. You'll find the Millionaire's Lawyer there, or on anywhere else you listen to your podcast. Those are the ways to connect with me. Of course, find us through the web, and feel free to reach out. If it's a phone call, there's a 1-800 number listed there. Feel free to call through. If it's just to speak with me, feel free to arrange a time through my assistant, Courtney.
So the listeners are going to love this part of the program, because I've got 4 favorite type of questions. Everyone knows I love to ask about favorite movie or favorite song and stuff like that, but I'm going to go in a slightly different path for you, JP, because I know you can handle it. That sound good? Okay. First, if you could share with the listeners, what was your favorite deal that you've worked on?
Favorite deal.
That you've helped buy or sell the company specifically.
Yeah. I'm thinking, well, let me go. I mean, probably the favorite deal was that first deal, right? That sort of launched things. So the deal working with Elon and Kimball Musk was, and actually that was one that came around because we didn't take the first offer. There were a couple of opportunities to do a couple of things. Elon in particular, even then, his vision for the future was legendary. And he stepped back and said, no, there's more here. There's more to be had. We stepped back. And so that first deal, the sale was to Compaq Computers, as it was then called. Compaq has since been purchased by HP.
Right.
So, a roll up, the way we described the big boys earlier. They bought the first company that we started. And it was a very satisfying exit there, as you can imagine. It made many people at the company millionaires many times over. And the reason it was particularly satisfying, obviously making millionaires, but it was real millionaires. It wasn't paper millionaires. We sold the company for all cash.
Wow.
As I said earlier, at the time, I think it still is actually the largest all cash transaction. A lot of these deals involved, some cash and a swap of paper, but this actually was a check written from Compaq Computers to the shareholders. And so we were able to exit on that basis. So a very, very satisfaction transaction to work on. And it's sort of modeled. And certainly if I'm able to structure things like that on deals to this day, I try to do so.
Ottawa and Orlando. I know this is where you co-reside. And I also know that as we record this right now, it's November of 2019. And in the Northeast and in Canada, it's getting a little cold up here.
It's getting there, yeah.
Okay. So I also know that you like to swing the golf club and play golf out there. I'll have a two-part question to this golf-related favorite question. One is, what's the best round you've ever shot?
Oh, Lou, that's mean. That's very mean. I am a 12 handicap.
Well, that's very good. I'm about the same, so that's pretty good.
Okay. Well, we can get it on the links then.
Okay.
The best round, I've never broken 80. I think the best round I've ever done was 81.
Not spectacular. That's a very good round. For those who don't follow golf, they could know that's a pretty good round of golf. And my question here is, what's the most favorite golf course you've ever played on?
Most favorite. It's interesting because right now I'm planning a trip with my father to Ireland.
Oh.
So to play some of the courses there. Probably, maybe I'll pick a San Diego course.
You go with Torrey Pines. You've played out there, or?
I haven't played Torrey Pines. Is the only thing. It was interesting because I was down there playing with a buddy, and he said, "Do you want to do Torrey Pines?" We did. What's the name of it? Yeah, we're at Balboa.
Oh, okay, great course.
So, I mean, a great course as well. And it's interesting because I kind of regret to this day. At the time, I'm saying to myself, because obviously Torrey Pines, right? And he said he could get on, and I said no, because he was close by there, right, by Balboa Park as well. So let's go play down there. We did, but to this day, whenever I think of it, I'm always like thinking to myself, what was not playing? I regret not playing Torrey Pines at the time. Also, when I was in California, we spent a lot of time surfing. Actually, it was more that time for us. Yeah,
that's great.
Surfing and going over to Santa Cruz, and I would drive down to Pebble Beach.
Oh,
and never played the course. So I did the 17-mile drive, but never actually played the course. So it's interesting. My time in California, when I had the clubs and could have been doing it, wasn't focused that much on it. And now, as you say, from up in the Northeast, I always long for those days, especially as it gets cold.
Let's get to some other ones here. Your all-time favorite movie?
All-time favorite movie, I have to go with Rudy.
Why does that movie connect with you so much?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to go with the Shawshank Redemption. I want to give that type of answer, but for Rudy, it connects. I've watched it probably 15 times and identifies with me as, well, I go back to my high school football days even. Mm-hmm. I was a small guy. My coach would put me in and say, work hard and, you'll earn some playing time. And so I really identify with him, and I still tear up every time I see them carrying him off the field at the end of that game.
Yeah, I think what's the most impressive about that movie, and it's tough to look at, but something close to 15 people, actors or those who were portrayed, 15 people in the role, tell him he can't do something, and he does it. Whether it's get into Notre Dame academically or to play on the football team or make it. Every time there's always a thing, and people asking for that doubt, and this is the guy who just kept moving forward, and it's so amazing, and it's really incredible, and impossible for anyone not to draw a tear if you have a soul between you.
Yes, absolutely.
JP McAvoy, Conduct Law, the Millionaire's Lawyer podcast. Such a pleasure to have you on, man. This was great, and continue to thrive loud each and every day, my friend.
Thanks so much, Lou. I really appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to the next time we get a chance to connect.
And to all our Thrive Loud listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Thrive Loud. Or find us on the web at thriveloud.com.